that I have before beaming to the Enterprise D. That's the last note that I have.
Okay, because I mean, we could say that because I wasn't planning on the Enterprise D showing up till later, but we can say that happened too. All right. So speaking of which, we're just gonna, cause I mean, I'm the worst when it comes to spoilers, so I'm just gonna pull the new ship out, or if I can find it, there it is. The Enterprise D, the Galaxy X class, that used to be the Victoria Alexandria, is arriving alongside the Charvanek and the Dominion battleship and the Hawk's Breath. Turn this around. There we go. Are you guys? Yeah, some of you are on Roll20. Oh, but you might not be in the right spot. Why did? Oh, okay, because you guys were talking there last time. So I'll move you to here, just so you can see what
Ooh,
it looks like.
thank you.
Yeah. So then that's not the right name because I was gonna change it to something else, but let's change it to something random and also whoops uh something also something metaphorical. Sun's uh presents, because I'm pretty sure you guys are gonna be spending a lot of time rolling presents. Oh, and also if you put in ha, yeah, I'm a genius. That's why I'm a writer. Okay, so oh my god, this thing's not wanting to work all of a sudden. But there we go. Alright. Move that over there. Okay. So In the Sun's Presence is this new episode title. But anyway. Oh, see, this is why Durlock is not here, so I have to skip that. So Ensign Graham. We'll start with Ensign Graham since D-Man is here. Ensign Graham, you have arrived on some random ship, doesn't matter which one, but you have arrived on the Solar Ring. Your orders are to find your new commanding officer, Commander Weber, or the executive officer, Lieutenant Commander Taylor, when the Charvanek arrives in however many minutes it takes for Neil and Durlock to realize that we're playing. Because you're going to be piloting the Defiant. So,
Yay!
yay. Yep. All these names that of player or all these character names of players who are not here right now. Let's see. Doesn't matter. Okay. So I guess we're gonna jump to the Charvanek arriving. This is gonna go by fast without Durlock and Neil here. The Charvanek arrives. Commander Tennyson, Lieutenant Salak, Lieutenant Merck, Dr. Tall, Chairman Till, and eventually Commander Taylor and Commander Weber. You guys, the Charvanek, this Dideridex class warbird, is orbiting. It's not docking. And so that you guys have to beam into the transporter room of the solar Dyson ring. So yeah, go ahead.
Tennyson would turn to his dad. How's Mom these days?
He just kind of shrugs and says, "You know how the job is. I haven't seen her in weeks. I'm sure she's busy with whatever it is that she does these days." And let's see how many of you guys there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll just say the 5 of you get on the transporter pad of the Charvanek, and you beam over to one of the many transporter rooms of the solar ring. And as Tennyson and Chairman Till step down, continuing their discussion about Tennyson's mother, Salak, you are, well, maybe surprised is not the right word, but you notice that your mother, Admiral Sasan, I believe we decided her name was going to be pronounced, is waiting for you. Which is kind of odd considering she literally just hailed you over subspace to give you some advice about your next deployment, your next stationing or posting. But maybe she just wants to see you. And the admiral um, walks over to you and does the typical Vulcan salute. Says, "Salak,
Mother, how are you?
I am doing well, and you?"
I am optimal.
Good to hear. Um, are you planning on going to the diplomacy symposium?
I suppose I should make an appearance.
You can't tell if she says this with a bit of ire, a bit of ire, or sarcasm, or just typical Vulcan factual statement. But she says you would be the lowest ranking individual in the room, or the lowest ranking Starfleet officer in the room.
That's happened before.
She nods and says, "Ah, yes. Your father does not. Uh, your father speaks of your many treaties unceasingly."
Yes, but he finally has one to hang on his wall.
Again, she nods with perhaps a bit of a smirk, and that she hides very cleverly as she gestures to the door of the transporter room, and she says, "Come, we have much to discuss before the diplomacy symposium begins in a few moments."
Right away, Admiral.
Dr. Tall and Merck. Well, actually, let's do Dr. Tall real quick first. Dr. Tall, you are greeted by, hopefully, somebody that I have a character sheet for. Probably not, because when do I ever have time to make one? You are actually greeted by somebody that you know named Eli Kasim. Am I pronouncing his name right?
Yep.
Awesome. I'm going to actually, while I'm talking, go into in the private messages to find the picture that you sent me a long time ago. He looks at you, and of course, he's not Vulcan, so he smiles and extends his hand to you and says, "Doctor, it's good to see you again. I'm guessing you're not attending the symposium, are you?"
Do I see anyone around us, or are we just the two of us basically?
The only other person so far that is still kind of in the same general vicinity is Merc. Ferengi secure. As far as you can tell, he's a Ferengi engineer. Oh, I'm starting to confuse the two Mercs.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, they're
uh,
both pretty important.
yeah, the other two, Tennyson and what's his name? Sorry, I'm brain farting on names right now. Salak. I'm not good at doing multiple things at once. Have already moved on towards the exit.
Okay. Then I will look at him and smile, and then give him a big hug without even like shaking his hand.
He.
And I'll say,
Oh, go ahead.
"Yes, sorry, go ahead."
No, you go ahead. That gives me time to look for his picture.
Okay. I'll say, "Elijah, been such a long time. What are you doing here?"
He says, "That's a good question, actually. All of a sudden, I was being transferred to a ship out there near in the Gamma Quadrant, and all of a sudden, my transfer paperwork was changed, and I was redeployed here. You don't have any idea why? I thought it might be something to do with you, since you're coming here."
Well, I have a faint idea why, but
Well,
I
please
don't think
divulge.
I don't think it's wise to talk about that here right now. Maybe later when we have a private moment. How's it gone with you? How have you been so far?
I mean, I've been fine. I've been okay. Same old, same old. there's a lot of things going on here on this. Oh my God, mouse, please work. There we go. On this ring, a lot of science, a lot of medicine, and I'm pretty much getting into a lot of quote unquote trouble. Just looking around,
Right.
and I find myself in a science lab every 20 minutes or so. But it's not a bad place to be. Don't know why.
Oh,
Again,
no,
don't know why I'm
absolutely
here, but it's a nice place, right near the sun and everything.
Well, I do hope we end up serving together again. It was fun when we did that. And look, we're still good, right? We're still on good terms, I hope.
I think we can be. I don't see any reason not to. Considering everything going on right now, I think it's best that we let bygones be bygones.
I see. Very well. Thank you. And, well, I suppose I should get over to my place. If you ever have a moment, or if we end up serving together, let me know and we'll schedule some downtime for the two of us. Catch up on old times.
Sure. Do you want me to walk you to your temporary quarters, or do you have somewhere else that you're heading to? Maybe one of the mini cafeterias on this boat?
I think I should get to know the area first before heading to any cafeteria. Not right away. But your offer is welcome. Thank you.
All right, and the two of you head out of the transporter room, which is again quite large, as it's a massive starbase with many transporter rooms. So essentially, it basically looks like a cargo bay with a 16-person transporter room. But Lieutenant Merck, you find yourself with nobody to greet you on the transporter pad. The others have moved on out of the transporter room, and there is nobody. Again, I remind you, in case you forgot. Honestly, I'm more likely to forget, but your mentor, Chief Soulforge, has shuffled off this mortal coil, and Kovic, Dr. Kovic, is been reassigned to another location that nobody is aware of at the moment. And so yeah, what does Lieutenant Merck do?
Well, he'd step off the pad, and if we're doing our R&R, I guess, where does he go to report to? I know he's moving there. He's supposed to be on the Enterprise, right?
Eventually, yeah.
He missed the boat. It's not there just yet, right?
Well, the orders are basically stating that everybody in the Squadron Elite are to basically be temporarily posted to the solar rings. So basically, even if you wanted to go to your ship, you wouldn't be able to. They're basically considering the ships to be under a skeleton crew, and basically preparing them technologically, as well as in other ways, for your guys' presence. But at the moment, you don't have access to the Enterprise.
Ah, okay. Well, if that's the case, then he try to find the place to go eat and maybe have a drink and just see what's going on here, I guess, until he has something better to do,
All right. Hey, Mac, you want to do me a favor and message Neil? I don't know if you did already, but yeah. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to take over his characters. Did you hear me, Mac? Mac must have disappeared. All right, I'm gonna do it.
I did it.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm gonna take a look at. Okay, so Salak, Admiral Sasan, after you guys, actually, Salak, roll a insight command as you guys are walking down the corridor. towards wherever Salak wants to go. And this is gonna tell you something about your own mother. Did you hear me, D-Man?
Oh, sorry, I was talking with my mic up.
It's all good.
Would Starfleet Protocol be a focus?
Yeah, I will say so. Sure. All right. So, as you guys are moving down the corridor together, you start to think that her sending you a message, her calling you on the Charvanek, and then suddenly, less than an hour later, meeting you in the transporter room. Oh, and you know what else I forgot? The freaking captain's logs. Oh well, I've already gone past it anyway. But it just doesn't seem completely genuine. Like, you don't think she was there to greet you per se. And of course, being as a large transporter room on a large facility, in the outskirts of this massive bay, there were like engineers doing things like, it essentially, think about like a cargo bay, how you always have like engineers doing stuff. You might have a small group of security training over in the corner or something. Like this transporter room is not really a transporter room, as is more like a transporter chamber. And so you start to think that maybe she did this to kind of as they say, keep up appearances. Maybe yeah. So her coming to see you in the transporter room was definitely not a greeting to kind of in the traditional sense of just wanting to greet her son. Do you say anything, or do you just continue walking?
So, Mother, I find it a highly improbable. I find it a statistical anomaly that you would be in the area when I happen to transport her in.
She looks over and says, "Is it not normal for a mother to greet her son when he arrives from being away for so long?"
For other mothers, yes. You seem to have an agenda.
I am with Starfleet Intelligence. I always have an agenda.
I know. So do you want to tell me why we're really walking together, or do you want to just fumble me around? Or are you just trying to use my newfound fame within the Federation to get, how is it the humans put it, brownie points with the Romulans?
Whenever you say brownie points, she keeps her head forward and just has that same stoic look on her face. But then when you say with the Romulans, she has to catch herself from her head just snapping around, and she just giving you like I wouldn't say a glare, but a very stern Vulcan look. And she quickly calms herself again.
The boy, shut your mouth before I smack you in the back of the head. Look.
Something like that.
Yep.
And she says, "I do not seek the Romulans' approval. I merely want the best for you."
Oh, well, that is comforting to hear, Mother.
Of course. The representatives of the Infamous and the Dominion should be here soon. And we want to put our best foot forward, and pardon me for saying, but I do believe that would include you.
Indeed.
Up ahead, Commander Till or Commander Tennyson and Chairman Till are also walking. And Chairman Till turns to his son Tennyson and says, Look, there's something you must know, Commander. There's something you must know, Tennyson. Look around.
Yes.
What do you see? And he kind of gestures further back towards Salak, and then he kind of gestures down a corridor where you see Lieutenant Commander Taylor with his Andorian wife, Relisle Schrace Taylor, and they're talking and smiling and just having a good time as they're walking in some random direction towards another location. And he turns back to you and he says, "Do you really think any of this was a coincidence?"
No.
He kind of does that thing where he, being a Romulan, it's probably happens quite often. But he looks around, does a double take, making sure that no one's listening, and then he leans in and says, "There are temporal agents messing with time. For some reason, they have brought us all together here. I don't know if it's to wipe us up all out at once or for the benefit of the future, but whatever the case may be, is they need to be careful because messing with time like that is no joke."
I agree, Father.
Well, there needs to be something done about it. I know that the temporal agency is doing something, I just don't know what, and I don't have any contacts with any of the temporal agents. Do you happen to know any?
I know Lieutenant. I know Lieutenant McDaniel was on the. It was the Victoria Alexander, now the Enterprise D.
Yes, he is quite famous. The only Dren clone to choose to go through Starfleet Academy and join Starfleet, and for a Romulan woman, no less. But that is not what I am talking about. Even if he has something to do with time travel, there is something else going on. I do believe, and I may be overreacting when I say this, but I do believe that the infamous power has their own time travelers, and they are actually moving against us through time, similar to the temporal Cold War that was occurring both in the past and in the far distant future, if you know what I mean. I believe something like that is happening again.
I can ask a couple of people who I've worked with on the Victoria Alexander if they know any people.
We might have to. Although I shudder to think that there is some kind of temporal war going on, trying to get everyone in one place to eliminate us, or even just to get us all in one place for any reason, to be honest with you. It just doesn't feel right.
That sounds suspicious, Father, that we're all brought here.
Yes, it does. So who do you know that might be able to help us? Besides McDaniels.
I can rule out the. I can rule out the captain. I'll ask some of the lower class if they know anyone. So I met a few of the lower class people in the Victoria Alexander. Some of them might have contacts elsewhere.
I see. Well, try to keep this quiet. We don't want the Klingons or the Dominion or the Cardassians to find out that the Tal Shiar has people looking into time travel. That definitely won't end well.
No, I'll keep it low profile.
And Dr. Tall, you walk into
Yes.
probably the biggest sick bay you've ever seen on, even compared to Earth space dock. Um,
Oh boy.
it is essentially an entire. If you're looking at the Roll20, the Dyson ring, essentially it spans an entire like. So the ring itself is made up of probably I don't know, somewhere around 20 or 20 to 50 decks, so like more than 10. But there's probably about 3 or 4 decks that span from an entire section all the way to there. It's essentially, it's not really a sick bay or an infirmary. It's basically a hospital, almost like a hospital city. That
Heaven, basically.
yeah, for a medical professional, definitely somewhere that it would be good to work at, and you could tell when you walk in that automatically that they have all of the best equipment and tools and technology that the Enduring Alliance has to offer. I'm just gonna move the people that aren't actually here. There, okay. Let's see, where's the NPC? There it is. And when you get there, there's probably hundreds of people just milling about. There are people that are injured. As you can tell, that the injured people are not in any major. They're not. It's not like they were in a battle or anything. They just some sprains here and there, some bruises, some cuts. Probably negligence and carelessness, or just trying to spar in the holodeck or something. But Eli enters with you, and it just immediately heads towards like this large glass room. It's kind of like it's kind of like the office here, except it's all glass. It's not, there's none of that metal, but it's a really large round glass room, and inside you can see a few Starfleet personnel in blue, a few in gold, and they're tinkering with one of the comm shields that you guys wear, or comm badges as they used to be known. And Kasim turns to you and says, I heard a rumor that somebody had came up with an idea to mitigate the Kelvin psychic influence with the comm shields, but I didn't know I'd get to see it live here. And he kind of moves towards the glass and almost like a kid puts his face up against it and looks in.
Interesting. Okay. I will approach these people who are tinkering with it.
Okay.
And I will basically ask them, what do you have there? What are you working on?
One of the scientists turned to you and says, "This is a typical comm badge, or comm shield, as they're known as now. The normal ones project a force field around the wearer, so that small arms energy weapons do nothing to the wearer, but Dr. Kovic, medical professional on the Victoria Alexandria before his transfer, came up with an idea to kind of mitigate the Kelvin influences, but also project a unified electromagnetic field from this device that would amplify the wearer's own psychic, latent or not, abilities to kind of defend against the Kelvin's more massive intellect and psychic abilities. and she kind of gestures to probably at least a dozen engineers and scientists and medical officers. She says it takes a lot, but we're going to make it work no matter what. We have to.
Huh. I would love to dissect that somewhere. And I sort of go through them without even asking for permission and take one in my hands and start inspecting it. If you don't mind me, I'll just inspect it.
When you pick it up, they say, "Well, we haven't done a whole lot with it yet. Right now we're just trying to figure out how to do it. We haven't managed to incorporate really anything into the device yet. There's honestly they're so compact. There's little room for more technology. Excuse me. There's very little room for more technology to put in. But we are trying to figure it out. We could definitely use all the help we can get if you're interested."
Oh, that's what I heard. Yes, my ears went immediately to requesting help. Of course, I will definitely help.
Okay, roll insight medicine or reason medicine, either one. I'll have Kasim assist. Excuse me. If I can, there it is. Let's see, insight medicine. Was Kasim science or medical?
He was medical.
Yeah.
Medical officer.
All right, so.
Okay. Right. And I'm looking at my talents, but I don't think they fit in this case. Because they're about medical procedures and not necessarily figuring out something. So.
Gotcha. Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Okay. All right, so you've got a total of 4 successes. So the difficulty is scaled, which means that as long as you get more than 0, you get something. But because you got 4, then you get a lot, but you don't get everything. Because we don't have all the players here, I'm not going to bother giving momentum because we're going to have to end early anyway. Probably in the next 20 or 30 minutes. But basically, you think that most of the device already has everything it needs in it. And of course, with Kovic's, and because you haven't, well, I'll ask you, does Dr. Tall look up Dr. Kovic's research and theory, or does she just straight up look at the comm shield?
Yeah, so she doesn't take the time to look up the doctor.
Okay, so she's just looking at the shield, the comm shield itself. So essentially, she would think that it's very reasonable to be able to do it, but it's going to be difficult. And if she had the right people, the right tools, and basically if she wasn't just walking in and picking up a comm badge, she could probably herself, with like a really good engineer, complete the task in less than a day and have a completely viable way to deflect the Kelvin's psychic influence on Starfleet or Enduring Alliance personnel. And it's not really a matter of scale with the comm badge. Yes, it's compact, but it's just it's more of a matter of having the knowledge and knowing what to do with it and things like that. And yes, she's a doctor, but she also knows basic engineering and basic science, and knows that there are good enough engineers that could move around the technology enough to be able to do it. And these engineers, as good as they are, the quote unquote NPCs that she's talking to or dealing with right now, they're not the Starfleet's best. They're right up there, but they're just not. They think inside the box too much because they've been serving on Earth Space Dock, the Solar Ring, on Earth itself. Like, they've been really confined. Yes, they may be really smart, but they don't have the experience or the wisdom that is gained from real world practicality that Dr. Tall and some of the other engineers and scientists have.
Okay. I will look at them and I say, um, officers, you are more than welcome to help us, or at least continue working on this. I will definitely try and help, but I will try also to get a team going on. And I look at Elijah. You are, of course, invited, as
He grins.
always.
He grins
Of course.
at Dr. Tal. Wait, what's Tal's first name again?
Rosa.
Rosa, that's right. So he grins. He said, and are they? Because she's a lieutenant commander, right?
Yes.
And he's a lieutenant. So I don't think he
yes,
would be
I
on a first name basis with her, even if they were best friends. So he would say, because I was gonna say he says Rosa, but he's not gonna do that. He says he grins.
Well, I mean,
at
they
her.
did have a history. So.
Yeah, but you know,
Yeah.
I'm
Starfleet regulations.
being someone who's actually been in the military. That doesn't really mean anything. Like I
Right.
would call my own mother by her last name if we were both in the military. Like it just doesn't mean anything. But anyway,
Yep.
so he grins at her and says, kind of jokingly, "Oh, doctor, I can't wait," and just rubs his hands together, and he says, "Who else should we find? We're gonna need at least 2 good engineers, at least."
Well, you know, I think we have a good amount of people on the ship that I'm serving on, so I will definitely try and ask them, see if they can join. So far, from my experience with them, they've proven quite useful.
He nods.
So.
He nods. He says, "You know, I heard of the new chief engineer of the Excelsior, Owen Nakata. I heard he's pretty good. He's I don't really know much about him, but I've just heard that he's good. We may maybe check on him. Whoever the chief engineer, I think he's a Ferengi. I don't know, but chief engineer of the Enterprise, he might be able to help. I don't know his name because again, I just know he's a Ferengi. I know these people from reputation. But yeah, I mean, those 2 might be able to help. Or the operations officer. I think she's an android, which that's cool. Of the Enterprise D. So yeah, we have options. We definitely got to find the best people because all these people they've been spoiled rotten. He kind of whispers like they haven't gotten out much.
Well, I can't wait, Lieutenant. It's just like old times.
That's right, just like old times. All right, so who do
All
you
right.
start with your little recruiting?
All right, so let's take his advice. I'm gonna go look up Nakata.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would find Nakata on the Solar Ring, no longer on the Excelsior, but he is around, not in, but around the observation deck, kind of probably just outside of the Diplomacy Symposium. Roll a Insight Security. Yeah, Insight Security, difficulty 1.
Okay. All right.
Ooh, I love
Yeah.
those complications. Do you want to... Oh, you don't have any momentum because you got all that information for the other thing. So, number 1, you know that unless he's actively working on something, there's no reason for an engineer to be anywhere near the Diplomacy Symposium, unless he's like just walking. But you can tell by just looking at the computer that he's been in that vicinity, just kind of loitering for like the better part of an hour. So that's number 1. Number 2, the complication is that as you're looking at his location on the computer, or if you ask the computer what his location is, just as you do that, a Cardassian woman enters wearing a civilian garb, and she looks at you and says, "Doctor?" And she looks to Eli and says, "Doctor?" And he kind of gestures to Tal and says, "Nah, she's the doctor." And the Cardassian woman looks to you and says, "You, doctor, come check my wrist." And she holds up her wrist to you.
Sure. My name is Tal, by the way. You are? As I go check her wrist.
"I am an official representative of the Cardassian Union. You will check my wrist. I do not need to give you my name. And she holds out her wrist, and you can see like kind of a little gash and some bruising, which is just it's weird that it happened. I mean, obviously things happen, but it's just weird that it happened out of nowhere, kind of like now. Go ahead and make another insight security check. This time I'm gonna have Kasim assist.
All right. So, am I trying to heal her, basically, in any way, or
well, no.
treating her wounds?
This is something different. Actually, if you want to roll insight medicine, you can. But I won't tell you the difficulty on this one. If you get one success, you'll be able to figure out her wrist. If you get any more, you'll be able to figure out something more.
Okay.
But I'm gonna have Kasim roll security for a different reason, and he did not succeed.
Okay. Which difficulty was this, by the way?
Or did he succeed?
1, right? He did not succeed. No.
Well, it looks like I rolled twice on accident, but I think the first one I just
Oh yeah.
So I'll say he does succeed. So sorry, what was your question?
A difficulty of 1, right?
Just to figure out her wrist. Anything else about her, there'll be more than that. So as long as you get 1, then you should be good.
All right. Well, I will use the field medicine talent, which is when attempting a medicine task, you may ignore any increase in difficulty for working without the proper tools or equipment. I assume there are enough tools here.
There are plenty of tools. You just don't have them like on you at the moment.
Oh, right, on me. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So that doesn't fit. Let's see. All right.
And there's not really an increase in difficulty. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm gonna give you. Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna give you momentum, but I will tell you that as you're kind of looking at her wrist and kind of diagnosing it. Number one, you could heal it with a typical dermal regenerator within seconds, but you also notice her white knuckles and her glaring eyes and her arm is slightly shaking, and you just get this really eerie sensation that this was intentional.
So someone's been naughty, eh? As I start treating her wound in any way, looking it up.
She puts her arm down quickly and then turns and gives you another glare and says, "Don't presume to know anything about me." And then without saying another word or letting you kind of do anything with her arm, she just turns and storms off, pulling out a small Cardassian communicator from her belt. And as she exits the hospital, you hear her say, "Nakata, come in. We may have a problem." And then she disappears down the corridor.
I see. I look at Elijah. That was interesting. Did you know this one? Do you have any idea who this is?
No, I've never seen her before or heard of her in my entire life. She's probably here for the conference, but other than that.
Yeah, and apparently she had a wound that was self-made, I assume. Or at least from when I looked at it.
Yeah.
It didn't really look natural.
It looked like she just bashed it against the side of a door frame or something. Definitely intentional. And the way she was acting made it even clearer.
Should probably keep an eye on her.
Should I call security or?
I'm not sure if that's necessary for the time being.
Yeah, but how are we going to keep an eye on her from here? We're working in the hospital. She's clear to walk around the entire base.
Well, she did mention Nakata.
Right. So should we call Nakata here? Right. When we tried to call him earlier, he didn't respond.
Right. I think it's time to leave this infirmary and go to Nakata himself. Meet him in person if need be.
I guess so.
We should get to the heart of this matter. Yes.
Do you think we should, I hate to bring it up again, but talk to someone else like security or maybe a command level officer? I don't want to, get, if there's something going on that's above my pay grade, you know what I mean? I don't want to, I want to make sure that everyone's informed. I don't want something to happen and then they come to me and be like, "Why didn't you say anything?"
Right. I get you. All right. Well, tell you what. I will meet you at the Kada's last position, and in the meantime, you can call up the security. Come with the security themselves to that position.
All right. Well,
And if you need any, of course, if you need any access somewhere, you can just use my name if need be. I'm pretty sure I have some privileges around here, as I brag about.
He says, "All right. What about the others? The Ferengi engineer, the ops officer, the android. I mean, which should be our priority? This or the comm shield? I'm deferring to you. You're the highest ranking person. You know."
Right. See, if this was anything else, I would probably go and look at the others. But this just turned interesting, and
yes.
it would be bad from our side if we just left it to chance. We should probably investigate this.
Okay.
You never know.
I'll go find a security officer, and I'll meet you at Nakata's last location.
All right.
And
be careful.
Oh, of course. And he turns and heads out of the hospital. And you never see him again. No, I'm just kidding. So, let's see. Josh, what is Merc up to at the moment?
I guess he's still at the. Excuse me. I guess he found his way to the. I don't know.
You said he
restaurant.
was at the mess hall or something. I can't remember. I'm trying to.
Remember. Yeah. He didn't know where. I didn't know what was there. Yeah, I said something like that. He'd go and find the local watering hole or whatever.
Okay. So yeah. Oh yeah. I think you mentioned like a restaurant or a bar, and I said that this place was so big you could pretty much find anything. So. He goes to find a drink, and probably without too much shock, he finds McDaniels in one of the bars trying to do a handstand, and then falls off the bar and lands on his head on the ground with a bunch of Klingons laughing their ass off at him. And he gets up and like shoves them, and then he turns and as they shove him back, and he kind of flails across the room. He sees you enter, and he goes, Merc, buddy, come here, man. You got to try this. It's called the Mala Ren. It is so good. And he in his hand is just cream soda in a bottle, but he's like trying to like shove it into your face. Like, come on, try it, man. Try it.
Cream soda? I mean, I don't know what it is. Right?
It's alcohol, man. Come on.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's the best. You gotta try it.
Okay, I'll take I'll reluctantly. All right, I'll take a sip of it.
Yeah, and as you take a sip of it, it's just cream soda. So you're probably wondering how he's drunk if all he's drinking is cream soda. He's like, isn't it just great? Hey.
It's the best.
Hey. You know what you should do? You should find your brother. Sorry, getting my timelines mixed up. You don't have a brother, right?
Yeah.
Nah. Yeah. This is like the 49th time. I'm almost 50. Okay. So I'm a clone, obviously. But we only live for like 10 years. That's why I look so old right now, because I'm going to die in like 6 months. But hey, it's cool. Because I can find a way to upload we can find a way, because you're the engineer. I'm just a guy that punches people. But you and I can find a way to upload my consciousness into something, and then I'll live forever. Verena, that android. Put me in her. Okay, that sounded weird. But you know what I mean. Put my consciousness in an android body, and then I'll live forever, and I'll be your best friend. Come on.
Yeah, what about Verena? She might not like that.
Right. We'll have to kill her. I mean, just kidding. We'll have to ask her, and if she says no, then we'll have to find another android. Or make me a hologram, because then no one can hurt me.
Yeah, I don't know if we have that technology just yet, but it's an admirable goal.
I'm messing up the timeline. No, it's another timeline I'm thinking of. Damn it. I hate being a time traveler. Hey,
yeah, me too.
Make an insight, medicine or security Or command. Any of those three will do. Just not engineering.
Okay. Insight, medicine, or command. Okay.
So.
All zeros? I don't know.
Nah, you got one. So yeah. He first of all, whatever he's been drinking, probably came from the Klingons. So he's probably way worse off than he would be if he was drinking like a human alcoholic beverage. So on this base, because it's so massive and so many cultures come here for diplomacy, they do have actual alcohol. The replicators don't have actual alcohol, but like most of the restaurants and bars do have real alcohol. So it looks like that's where he went first, and then got smashed for the first like 20 hours that he's been here, and then grabbed a cream soda and saw you. Now, the one thing that does kind of that you can tell is that you don't think anything that he's saying right now is what's really bothering him, and you do think that there is some kind of deep sadness in him that you're picking up on, and you can't tell what it is or why, but there's something about all of this that it's kind of like, if someone sees something, like something traumatic, like a death or something, and they're trying to suppress it, and he's doing the best he can. But other than that, yeah, with one success, that's all you're able to figure out.
Oh, okay. Well, then I try to talk to him a little longer then, even though normally try to get away from him, but now I'll try to talk to him a little longer. I'll say, wow, so what brings you here? Where did you meet your Klingon friends?
What?
Oh, your Klingon friends.
Oh,
yeah. I don't want them to see me. Yeah, you just don't look. Yeah, yeah. Where did you meet them at?
He says, no. Yeah. I don't know. I don't honestly remember 5 minutes ago. So yeah, I don't know, man. But hey, this is some good stuff, right? And he like swigs the cream soda. He's like, oh, where's the blood wine?
Oh, well, I don't know if they serve that here. I guess we can find it. But...
No, they do. And he like opens his mouth and it's like all red, like dark red from like the last time he drank a whole mug of blood wine, and like a little bit of dribble comes out of his mouth and down his chin. He's like, see blood wine. It's yeah, lots of blood wine.
I stand corrected.
It's made out of real Targ blood. That's really sick, but it tastes really good.
That's what I hear. Yeah. Yeah. So what brought you here? Just wanting to hang out, or did you come here as friends, or you say you don't remember?
Nah,
but...
it's all the time. It's all the time traveling. It gets messed up. Like and you can see he's like struggling to maintain his demeanor of happy-go-lucky, but it's starting to like crumble a bit. And he's like, the first couple times the Victoria Alexandria, you guys, somebody died, and I wasn't always the one going back and forth in time, but others did, like Dren 799 and others. But yeah, no, I'm just so tired. I'm just tired, man. I got all this stuff in my head, can't keep it straight, and then that other thing happened that I can't talk about because then I'll be a weird guy for talking about it. And he goes,
oh, I don't know about that. I've seen weird stuff. Give me a shot.
He shakes his head. He's like, nah, man, it's fine. And he walks over to the Klingons. He says, I gotta be around these guys.
Oh, well, I mean, let me tell you about weird. Did you know I've been like near death, like I don't know how many times. I've lost count. I mean, somehow I'm still here. So I mean, I had my face ripped off, and I had nightmares.
Did you say you had your face ripped off?
Almost. No, I mean, I may elaborate a little bit.
Yeah.
But do you remember that timeline?
Yeah, number 17. That was a bad one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I've seen some stuff.
But this is
You can give me a shot.
this is not that. I don't want to look.
Oh, okay.
Look, man.
Should I keep my face this time? Is that what you're saying?
Nah, you're good. You and Salak.
Oh, okay.
You two do really good. But look, this isn't about anything like that. This is me as a person, as a clone who's a clone of a literal of psychopaths with multiple personalities stuck in my head.
Really?
All
You guys?
What?
You guys psychopath? No.
Look, don't be funny. He like reaches for your ear, but his hand is like 6 feet away from your head, so he like stumbles and runs into a Klingon, and the Klingon just shoves him away, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, man, sorry." No, man, listen. Look,
Okay.
we have problems. Not, you know that. I mean,
Mhm.
that one Dren clone took a liking to you. I don't know if you remember him. I think it was 4617. I don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah, he's still around.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, he's still around, though. I mean, he may be the leader of the pirates. I'm not saying he is, but he may be leading the pirate faction of the infamous power against the infamous power. But don't quote me on it, because I'll deny it.
Oh, no, I wouldn't dream of it.
Right.
Really? Oh, wow. What
Yeah.
makes you think that?
I went back in time and saw him. Look, dude, look, this is
Mhm.
not about me, but it is about me,
Okay.
because it's always about me, man. I'm sorry. This doesn't make any sense, because I'm just. He sighs. What a day, man. Look, I saw some stuff, and I'm trying to drink it away, because I'm scared. So just go
What
do your
scares
thing.
you?
What scares me? Shit, everything. But that's
Yeah.
besides the point. It's
Wow.
a lot, and I don't want to talk about it. But
Okay.
yeah, I look, everything will be fine. I'm a time traveler, and we'll keep doing it until everybody survives, or at least most people survive. I think. I hope. We'll just keep doing it. What's so funny?
I guess that's all we can. I guess that's all we can do.
Sure, I guess. Anyway.
Yeah. I would. I'm sorry you had to go through all the time travel. I've never done that yet.
Oh, you will. I mean, I didn't say that. What? He kind of looks around. Who said that? Nobody said that. Don't listen to me. You're gonna be just fine
Okay.
right here. Yep.
Oh, well, that's a relief.
Yep. Okay. So I'm gonna go get drunk with the Klingons again, and you go and fix something, or go get a drink yourself. I don't know, but I gotta go.
Okay. Nice talking to you. And he'll kind of walk away. You don't want to get near the Klingons.
All right. I've got to go for like 10 minutes, so if you guys want to take a break before we continue, that's fine. Otherwise, if you guys want to... I know everyone's kind of separate. All of the player characters are kind of like in different areas. But if you do want to eventually come together and roleplay with me on my break, I have to go do something for 10 minutes. But if you want to do that, that's fine. Otherwise, we'll just take a quick 10-minute break, and I'll be back.
So how are you finding it so far, Nathan?
I find it interesting. It's definitely episodic, and it feels almost like an episode of Star Trek. So it's interesting.
Yep. That's what's so great about it.
I don't remember the number he gave for the pirate leader. I don't remember. I had to write that down.
Oh yeah, I write everything down for my characters, so it's a good idea.
Yeah. He just did it so quickly I didn't get it. I'll have to message him later and get it.
Right.
So, I don't understand. Are you on the Defiant or the Enterprise?
I think we're pretty much separated at the moment. Some of us are on the Enterprise. Some of us are in this ring world that you can see in front of you.
Oh, I'm not in the game, unfortunately. I'm only in the what do you call it? In the voice chat.
Oh, right, you don't have access to it. Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, there is like if you've played Stellaris, you would know this. It's and there you can play a ring world nation where you basically have a ring world as your starting planet, and it's basically a ring around the sun, and that's where we are at the moment, or at least some of us are there, and some of us are of course on different ships. I don't know exactly where everyone is because I haven't interacted with everyone yet, so I don't have notes on them. But I do know where I am and some of the people that I know. So that's more or less it. And you know, there are many things happening in the background, like story points, or story important plots and stuff like that. And that sort of forces us to be on different places and different times. We can't be like on the same place all the time. And there's the invasion, of course, the Kelvin invasion, and stuff like that. And yeah, it's definitely not as crazy as S-Unit, because in that campaign, and that's of course being GM'd by Jamie. That's a wonderful campaign so far. That's things are going really deep, in deep shit in there.
I could have broken the stone, but I was like, nah, I'll just use.
Yeah, I mean it's a valuable subject, or rather object. Sorry. So why would you you can just keep it and continue working on it, right? It's unfortunate if you break it.
If I understand it, Friday's game is an investigative game, correct?
Yes, that's the S-Unit. Yeah, it's the Men in Black game, basically.
Very interesting. That sounds like fun.
It is. Yep, I've been in the last game specifically, last Friday. I actually rolled so badly that I now have basically a completely different sort of story path that I've been forced to take because of my rolls. I've had like 3 complications in the same game, which is very bad. But yeah. So yeah, Jamie is sort of trying to get around that, see what happens with my character.
Yep.
May I ask, what is the agenda or the mission of this group?
Not sure if I can describe it, because I came to it, or I became a member of this campaign 3 sessions ago. So I'm pretty much on the late side, but I think Jamie can explain.
Pretty much we're.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Select. You can go.
Yeah, I think it's different for every character. The overall agenda is to get people united against the Kelvins, but I think almost every character has their own little individual interests and their own little individual agendas, and trying to get those to mash together into something cohesive enough to go forward is what's going to be because everybody's is a little different, but the main thing is to get us united against the Kelvins, because they have psychic powers that screw you up and make you go insane.
Sounds like a diplomatic mission. It's uniting all the different factions, Klingons and Federation.
There is a diplomatic aspect to it, I'd say. Yeah.
Interesting.
And there's also the thing with the S-Unit is that we're trying to find things there. At least my character and Jamie as a GM, that can actually help this universe withstand the Covenant attacks. So I am basically the engineer there, the chief engineer, who's trying to build some stuff that can help this universe, which is kind of crazy, but
Yeah. But this universe doesn't know.
yes.
That's cool.
Alright, I'm back. Alright, so Mac, you wanted Lasco to talk to his mom, right?
Yep.
Alright. Is he actively going to look for her, or is you just want them to bump in? Well, they're not going to bump into each other unless one of them is looking for each other due to the size of the station. So, do you want him to look
He's
for
active.
her?
Yeah, he'll be
Okay.
actively looking.
Roll Insight Security, difficulty 3. I don't think y'all have momentum at this point. So if you want to give me threat, you can. Or you can use a determination. Or if you can think of anything else that can give you like a focus or something. Also, sorry for moving people's character sheets around so much. I'm trying to figure out what makes it easier to find, and the way I'm doing it, I don't think is one of them. Huh.
I give you
Also,
threat.
sure. Also, you got commendations. I don't know if any of them do anything with adding dice or anything, but don't forget to check them out. But yeah, you can give me threat because I haven't really been using it this episode anyway. So yeah, 1 threat for 1 dice. Is that what you're thinking?
Can I get? So it's Insight Security, right?
Inside Security, difficulty 3. Yep.
Can I get at least 2 dice?
Okay. Actually, you know what? Before you roll, I'm gonna actually spend 2 threat, not the ones you're. Well, I guess it doesn't matter if it's the ones you're giving me or not, but I'm gonna spend 2 threat to increase the complication range by 2. So now it's 18, 19, and 20. That's a complication. because I thought of a good complication.
Can his father help him?
Does your did we make a talent for that, or is
Yeah,
where is it?
his father actually does help him.
But is there a
The
talent for
hologram.
it? Companion? Is it companion? Is a holographic of his father?
Yeah.
The don't know how you can roll for assist. Okay, yeah. So add an extra dice for an assist, because I don't have a character sheet for it. Whoops, I keep accidentally exiting out of Roll20. I don't have a character sheet for him, so yeah, just roll, so you can roll 5 dice now. More chance for a complication, yes. Oops, I'm still trying to log back in. There it is. Oh, man. Okay. 1, 2, 3. So the good news is you find her. But the bad news is she finds you. So you actually find her a few dozen meters away from the diplomacy symposium, whispering hushedly to Owen Nakata. Let's see, I'm going to put their pictures up so you can see what they look like. There's Jill. Where's Nakata? Probably don't even have a character sheet for him. I should. Where did I might have to look at my computer. There it is. Hopefully it won't take 5 years to load. But you see them whispering hushedly, and then as you kind of round the corner, it's in like a dark, secluded area, which, being a recently built massive starbase, there's a lot of those little dark corners. But you see them, and what is your daring? Just wondering. For Alaska.
It's an 8.
Oh, okay. So when they see you, they are stunned still and silent for like a fraction of a second. And you notice that they look behind you. Do you turn around?
Yes.
When you turn around, you see another individual that I'm looking for right now. Actually, you see someone that you haven't seen before. That's easy. A random person, we'll say he's human, and he tries to grab you. I'm going to roll for that, and you can roll to get out of his grasp. It's going to be a contested roll. His roll is going to be pretty high, so you have to get more than whatever he gets. Ooh, he gets a 3. So you have to get more than a 3. You have to get a 4, or you are grappled and restrained. Do you want to spend any more threat or use a determination or anything?
Can I buy 3 dice?
With what?
With
3 threat?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, how many? What's the word? How many flaws does Lasco have? 2?
3.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm gonna spend 2 more threat to increase the complication range by 2 again. Oof. So you tied. So at the moment, as he's like trying to grab your arms to keep you from moving, but also keep you from like using your arms defensively, you're struggling with him to get out of his grasp. And that is when both Nakata and Jill walk up behind you. And Jill is... Actually, now it's your turn. So if you want to roll to try to escape, it's going to be either fitness or daring security. I'm going to say... You can do it... You can either roll first, and then I can roll to keep you restrained, or I can tell you what the difficulty is, and then you can try to hit that. Which one do you want?
Can I hit the difficulty?
Sure. So to escape his grasp is going to be a difficulty 2 or more. And if you
Can I buy?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep. You can give me threat if you want.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to increase the complication range this time. But if you get more, then you get a... if you get more, you get momentum. Oh, I said 2, right? Okay. Man, you're not rolling great at all.
Yeah.
You managed to get out of his grasp just in time to see your mother pull a blade and stab you in the stomach. And I'm going to spend 2 threat to get more dice. It is a opposed roll, so if you want to give me more threat to try to beat the 6 successes, you may. Or you can spend a determination. Yep. You could do whatever you want. Don't forget, you have tons of stuff on that character sheet. If you need to spend time to look at your character sheet, you should do that, because I can go to someone else while you do that if you want. Do you want to do that?
Can I just roll it and see what happens?
Sure.
And can I buy the threat as well?
Yeah, how many?
3 for 3.
Sure. So you got 5 dice now. Oh, that is the worst thing ever. Yeah, it's a cold steel mixed with like a hot pain as the blade slips in between your ribs as your own mother attempts to murder you. And Nakata holds you. Dr. Tall, you have just arrived.
Indeed.
As well as Eli Kassim, a really drunk McDaniels.
Oh no. You had to put him on script, didn't you?
Well, who else do we have? I don't think we have any player characters that are... yeah, this was all supposed to happen way later, but I had to move it up a bit. But alright, so yeah, Eli Kassim, the drunk McDaniels, and I'll say 2... I'll let you decide. 1 or 2 security. I mean, normally you would just say 2, but do you think Eli Kassim would bring 2, or would he just go to the one security chief that he knows of? Because he's not really sure if there's a problem at that point. I'll just say.
Well, he is a lieutenant.
Yeah, I'll say 1 extra security guard, but then we can always add some later. Happen to walk past or whatever, if we need somebody. Where in the world? Oh, it's in NPCs. Bridge NPCs. There it is. And come on. Oh, by the way, I need to roll damage for that too. almost forgot. Jesus, I cannot find just a. Oh wait, I'm probably gonna have to. Okay, there we go. Nope, that won't work. Damn it. All right, I'll have to do this. Remove. There we go. All right. Some random person. Actually, you know what? We haven't. We'll say Vijarn shows up. Yeah, Ensign Vijarn is a Ferengi security officer aboard the Victoria Alexandria / Enterprise D. So he shows up, and you see. Actually, open this back and roll. Blade is 2, right? I think it's 2 plus the security. Pretty sure that's what it is. Actually, I have my fucking GM screen open. I can just turn around and look at it. Knife dagger is 1. That's stupid. But I guess with the vicious, it makes it worse. Yeah. All right. Fine. Plus, it's yeah. Okay. So 1 plus the vicious, and it's melee. All right. Let's see what happens. Oh, I guess I gotta push enter. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 plus, because the effect is 4. So if I remember correctly, effects vicious 1 adds 1, right? It adds 1 damage. The attack inflicts X additional damage for each effect. So that's 8 damage. So take away 8 stress, Lasco. What are you at? Are you there, Mac? I'll look.
Yeah.
Where are you at after 8 stress is removed?
He's got 2 left.
All right. So if he gets hit again, he's probably dead. So you're going to need to get him to sickbay. Tal, what do you do?
So do I see this like happening in front of me?
The only part you see is her put the knife in him. At the moment, she has not pulled it out yet.
Okay. All right. So do I actually met Lasco? I don't think I have. Right?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think your character's pretty new in general.
Right. And Nakada?
No. You probably know Lasco just based on personnel files and rumor and things of that nature. But Nakada, you only know from Eli Kasim. He just told you about him.
All right. So as we head on, does he like say this is Nakada, or does he point at him?
No, he's just shocked and staring and like backing away and staring more and shocked and more. Like he's pretty speechless at the moment.
All right. Well, I look at him and I look at the security agents. Snap out of it, Lieutenant Kasim. Apparently, we have an issue here, and I tell the security agents, apprehend those 2. I don't know what's happening here, but this does not look good. Someone has just been stabbed. That's the way it looks at it.
As the 2 security officers begin to move in on the others, there's 3 against 4, 5-ish if you count Lasco. But as they begin to move in, the Cardassian woman and Nakada kind of just stare frozen, wide-eyed, and
it's you again, huh? The Cardassian woman.
Yeah, and Lasco, I'm gonna say, with almost all your health points removed, you're pretty much on the ground at this point. So, basically, as the security moves in, Lasco falls. So, since you're the only, besides Lasco, you're the only player character here, who do you want to go first? Do you want the security to go first, or do you want to do something first? Or because talking and telling people to do stuff, that's not even an action. That's like a free action. You can do that whenever. So they're moving in, but mechanically speaking, who do you want to go first?
I'd say let the security teams move in first.
Okay.
And once they've been apprehended, the other two, I'll immediately move into Lasco.
All right. So McDaniels is suddenly sober, and he pulls out his Type 2 phaser and points it. Control of 12, security of 5. Let's see what happens. And he hits Jill for something amount of damage. Let's see. Oh my god, this stupid mouse. 2, 3, 4. Oh wait, it's on stun. That's right. So I don't care about the damage. She goes down, regardless.
Does he hit her without any orders? Like, was he ordered to hit her? Or? I don't think I ordered him.
You wanted him to move in and do something, and besides, he's a security chief, so technically he's gonna stun the person with a weapon anyway. So
okay.
And he points his weapon at Nakata and the other guy, and it's like, if you have any weapons, now's the time to drop them. And they have their hands up, but they're not. They're just shaking their head like, no. And the Ferengi moves in to kind of apprehend the other guy. McDaniels kind of nods to you and Kasim and kind of gestures to Lasco, and he's like, I think he could do with a bit of your touch there, lovely. And then moves in to apprehend Nakata, who doesn't resist.
Alright, I'll look at Elijah and I'll say, Lieutenant, come give me a hand here. And we're gonna go take a look at Lasco.
Alright, so insight medicine or reason medicine, difficulty, for you it's 1. I mean, a lieutenant commander who's a doctor kind of can tell just by looking at a stab wound how fatal it is. So,
right.
Let's see. I'm trying to find. Oh yeah, I really need to figure out how to do this stuff. This character sheet crap. Set this up better. Oh, I rolled. Oh well, I'll just use that first one as an assist. So you can roll yours and then just add the 1. Okay, so you have 3 total. I'm gonna say that gives you guys 1 momentum. I recommend using it as soon as possible. Let's see. And yeah, it's a typical Cardassian blade that was used, and it's typically used for assassinations, which is kind of what's going on right now. You also notice at the end of the blade, in addition to the red blood, there is a hint of like a pinkish substance, which you would know is probably a Cardassian poison of some kind. So you probably have minutes to get him to the hospital before he, if not dies of blood loss, will die of being poisoned.
Alright. I'll try to stabilize him first. If there's like, I assume I have some sort of a kit.
Sure, you can have a kit. Do a control medicine. I'm gonna say difficulty 2, and I'll have Kasim assist.
Okay. I will use my healing hands when attempting control medicine to heal any injury-related complications. Or this is not a complication, is it?
Yeah.
No, this doesn't work then. Okay.
All right. So you have 2 added to your 2, so you have a total of 4. So that gives you 2 more momentum. So let me deal that.
It's my day today, apparently.
Alright, so you guys have a total of 3. So you managed to get at least the blood stop pouring out of his stomach now that the blade has fallen out. But the poison is still coursing through him. So, like I said, you're going to have to get him to infirmary pretty quick.
Yep, I'll take him immediately, and I'll look at Nakata, and I'll say, we're not done here. I'll be back for you. As of course, Elijah just, knew him and pointed at him before. Right. We will speak about this, and I'll take Lasco to the infirmary.
Are you physically taking him, or?
Yes, so I'm basically also asking Elijah at the same time to basically take him together.
Okay, so if you're gonna carry someone across a several mile long starbase, it'll take hours to get there. So I recommend a transport.
Transport? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I will then use my com badge to the infirmary,
All right.
and I'll ask for the transport.
All right. So that happens. um, get rid of this. Lasco will be there with Dr. Tall. The others will be in the brig. Oh my god, work mouse. Work with me. And then over the intercom, everyone hears, attention, all diplomats and representatives. All attendees of the diplomatic symposium have arrived. Please make your way to auditorium 73 on the main observation deck in 10 minutes. So, who's going again? Let's see. We got Tennyson. Is Josh is Captain Bratham?
Yeah.
Well, Captain Bratham is pretty much mandatory. He's a captain.
Yeah, I've had him stuck in the chair. Yeah.
Yeah. Is Salak going or no? I think you said he was D-man, right?
Yes, the lock's
Okay.
going.
Just making sure. And hey Neil, what's up? Just a quick heads up for Captain Commander Weber and Jita. All this, your ships have arrived. Commander Weber beamed onto the solar ring, and then went to prepare for the diplomatic symposium. So you don't have to worry about catching up with anything. None of this stuff, he would have been around anyway. So you didn't miss anything. Is there? Well, before we start, does anyone, but specifically Neil, have any questions right now? While I look through my notes. If not, we will go ahead and start with the diplomacy stuff. Alright, so... Sorry, was someone saying something? Alright, must have been feedback. So, once you guys start to enter, those of you who are actually going, to the observation room where the conference is being held. I hope this works, because I'm not good with the nuances of Roll20. But once you, okay, come on. Oh, I do not want to. Is there a way to make everything on the GM layer into the normal layer, or do I have to do all 25 tokens individually?
Can't you mass highlight and then just right click and click move to
Yes, that's a good
whichever
idea.
layer?
I hope I can do that. I've never tried that. So far it's not doing anything. Although, did that work?
There we go. Yeah.
Awesome. So you guys enter and you see a whole lot of people in here. All the ones around the edges are security. The ones with the green and the helmets are Marines, Starfleet Marines. Then you have regular security. Then you have some kind of cybernetically upgraded Secret Service that belonged to the Vice President, Jake Sisko. And that's it as far as security that you can tell. However, standing at the front of this conference room, which is a lot bigger than what it looks like on the screen, Vice President Sisko watches as you guys enter and basically begins talking about how everybody needs to come together to defeat this Kelvin menace. This armada that waits outside of our galaxy is immense, not only in scale but also in intellect and ability. And if we don't come together, then we are doomed. And then he hands it off to his Secretary of State, a male Rigelian / Vulcan. named Chuzov, and Chuzov stands and says, "Where is actual Chuzov's picture? That's a good question." Let's see. Oh, don't tell me He says, "Good evening, everybody. Those of you who are, let's see, I'm just looking at everyone's tokens to make sure everyone is here. So, Mac, you can put Tennyson's token there. Neil, you can put Weber's token. I don't think, who else? Oh yeah, Bratham's there. I already see Bratham. Make sure you guys can move your tokens too. And if there's somewhere that you specifically, oh, by the way, your dad is here, so yeah. If there's somewhere you specifically want to sit, just let me know. Or if you want to move your tokens, that's fine. But yeah, I guess I don't really need the Rigelian at the moment. Once the Rigelian Vulcan Secretary of State basically does his little speech and thanks everyone for being here, and basically says everyone here is, by being here, is kind of subject to a non-disclosure agreement. Nothing discussed here may be discussed anywhere else. And then Admiral Riker stands up and says, "We have good news. The Breen and the Cardassians have already signed on to a treaty with the Enduring Alliance to fight the Kelvins. That leaves the many nation states that are under the infamous power, as well as other non-aligned smaller worlds. And with that, I would like to introduce the representative of the infamous power, Admiral Jita." And that is when a familiar Orion female beams into the conference hall. And Neil, take it away as your representative transports in on behalf of the infamous.
Thank you for being willing to meet with us. Does your meeting room have anything specific in order, or where we begin, or shall I just start with what we expect?
Admiral Riker looks up and says, "We are all professionals here. I believe we can talk as normal professional individuals without any kind of itinerary. So please give us your," he kind of perks a brow, and he says, "your demands."
Well, I'm not going to start necessarily with demands, but we all agree that there is an impending threat to everyone here, namely from the Kelvins. There obviously is something that we need to consider, whether that threat truly is a threat to the infamous power, but I digress. I suppose if you wish to guarantee our support, there are a few things you could do for us. One, you have decided that you have a policy of, and she sort of does finger quote marks, liberating our worlds and our territories.
When you say that, Admiral Riker looks across the table at Lieutenant Salak, as does Salak's, or as does the Romulans in the room, as a couple of them were actually there when that happened, and they remember Salak's proposal for the Vulcans and the Romulans to band together and liberate those who were subjugated by the infamous power. And Riker looks over and says, "Yes, we are aware of this situation."
Your tactics when it comes to liberation are not exactly something for stability. And let's be honest here, we need stability if we are to stand together. Is that not true?
Riker will nod, but he won't say anything. He'll look around at the others in the room, almost kind of expectantly, wanting to see if anybody else has anything to say. But if not, he will turn back to Jita.
Rather, yeah. Alliance for stability, absolutely.
Very well. If that is the case, then I suppose it is quite simple. We certainly wish you to stop liberating worlds where you only send them and divide them into chaos, causing more harm to everyone and anyone who lives there as well. It isn't wise, and it isn't helpful. It causes more issues. So that is a first thing. Stop liberating them. However, if you really want to get our attention, I'm sure there's other things you could offer us. Why don't I hear some suggestions from you? I want to know what you are willing and have already considered.
There's a bit of muttering and between everybody in the room, or at least the people sitting at the table in the room. Vice President Sisko's kind of leans forward and says, "Representative Jita, we're not prepared to give you slaves or territory, if that's what you're asking."
It isn't what I was asking. What I was asking was, what have you considered? If those are things that you haven't considered, I wouldn't object if you wish to consider them, but that's not what I want to know. I want to know what you have considered and think might be worth offering.
See, that's your problem right there. When they finish with us, guess who's the next on the hitting list? They'll wipe yous off the map. No matter what. There's no ifs, whats, or buts. The Brand 92 made sure of that.
You present an argument that we must work with you because once you're gone, we would be the only ones who'd be left as a target. It's not exactly an offer.
Well, consider this. If we're dead, you're the next on the list to be dead. Because if we don't unite right now, we all fall. Each and every one. And you won't have business. And you won't have money. And you won't have a lot.
Tennyson, make a presence command roll. This isn't necessarily for Jita, but it is for some of the others in the room. And Jita, Neil, you can decide if it's worthy enough for Jita.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah. So I'm trying to doing too many things at once. But yeah, presence command, difficulty. I'm gonna say difficulty 1, and that's just a success in that. But if you get more than that, then you might get something more. So kind of a scaled difficulty, but not really.
I'm using the Republic Valor Award for Common Cause. I get a plus 1 dice for all presence command rolls.
Nice. Okay. Yep.
And
Go
just
ahead. It's a good commendation or whatever that is.
yeah, you build it.
Oh, did I? Sorry.
Yep.
I was in the middle of looking for a brain picture, so I was half listening. But yeah. Whoops, wrong.
Can I buy 1 dice?
With you got 3 momentum, so yeah.
Okay. I'll do that. There's 3.
All right. So you get 1 momentum, and I'll let those 2. As you guys are talking back and forth, and then there's a pause. Luzos, the Vorta, stands up and says, I would like to declare that the Dominion has chosen to side with the Enduring Alliance and the Federation against the Kelvins. Although we do technically fall under the infamous power, we are making this decision with all clarity of mind and purpose. We do not have anything against the infamous power. They have mostly treated us fine. However, the Dominion is not used to being subjugated under anybody. And if making an alliance with the Federation and the Enduring Alliance will help us fight the Kelvins, as well as potentially put us one step above our supposed overseers, then that is something that we are willing to do. In addition, there is a changeling that has been missing from the Great Link. We have recently been informed that it has been killed on one of the Infamous's ships. That is free information for you, that you do not have to worry about a changeling anymore. And then she sits down. Admiral Riker looks around and says, this is very enlightening, but is there anything else? I refuse to sit here and waste time bickering back and forth about different ways of diplomacy and conquest. We are here to forge an alliance, are we not? If not, then why are we here?
Okay. Let me ask you all a question. If you believe that this is the only way forward, that an alliance between all of us working together is the only way to prevent us all being wiped out by the Kelvins, what exactly do you think is going to be the difference if we're all together compared to them having to fight on multiple fronts? Why is coordination going to be any different if you are so fearful of them? And that isn't me saying that I don't think it will work. I want to know why you think it will.
If you're front, you don't have unity, and basically that's how they can easily weaken you to defeat. If you have a unified front, you're still working as a unit to take down Calvin. ship.
I think
No matter
your signal's
different-
really weak or something because it's hard to. You're
Yeah.
roboting really bad. It's hard to know what you're saying exactly. I don't know if it's the signal or.
You
there?
it's the signal.
Yeah.
Yeah. He turns around and says that it's about the front on different fronts. That's how they can easily kill itself. If we're actually fighting as a unified front, we have a chance to save not just our Starfleet, but just the Romulans, but all.
I'm getting like 60 or 70% of it. It's probably the most important part of it that I can't hear too. Something about Starfleet and the Romulans, but everything around it I couldn't really hear. So I don't know if that's your server or I don't know what it is, but it might be me.
Yes, that's better.
It might be my server because mine is. It says and it's at 308 ms, whatever that means, but it's in the yellow, which it never is. So it could be me. Since if it's gonna be like, I want to say if you can.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that is better for me.
Right.
I can hear you better.
Well, the thing is Discord sometimes whenever you're saying something, a lot, like if you're speaking a lot, then the longer it goes on, it robots it. It starts roboting it even worse, especially with a bad signal. And even when you have a good signal, sometimes it's horrible. So, yeah, like I could hear you say, can you hear me now? But then if you start talking again, it might go back to, roboting. So try one more time, and if it doesn't work again, just, maybe type it out or something. I don't know, or just say it in a more simpler, shorter way. One of the two.
He turns and says, well, we aren't just fighting for one single territory, we're fighting for the galaxy. So it's not just on one front where multiple fronts we should fight on. It's one front because it's one ship and it's easier that way if we work and coordinate together instead of just being a disorganized front. That's what it is. It's not the death toll when it was actually a disorganized front is really high. So it's more likely if we actually have a unified front, like the Klingons here have in their culture, fighting warrior clan. We should actually present a unified front.
Admiral Sulu speaks up and says, as chief of Starfleet security, and if it was more than one ship and they were smaller, then that would be a different story. But the fact is, it is one large scout ship. If we can defeat it, then we may not have to worry about the Kelvin Armada for some time. I strongly suggest that whoever goes to fight that ship go with the same purpose and the same strategy. And if we are bickering before we even get there, then I do not see how we can have the same strategy.
How would you propose we coordinate? Would there be one group of ships to lead the fight, a ship to lead any fight, or would it just be coordination during combat as best we can?
Admiral Riker says, we actually have been working on that. We have a plan. A small unit of ships called Squadron Elite. We essentially have one ship of each faction maintained as a command ship, and will coordinate its efforts with the Federation starship and then the orders are disseminated to the rest of the fleet. That way, any tactics from the Klingons, from the Romulans, and the Federation together, as well as with the Breen, the Cardassians, and now the Dominion, are seen by all parties and can be deliberated upon before we even get into combat. And then once we do get into combat, it is already settled, and we can issue the orders as necessary. However, if there's one ship going off on doing its own thing, then it may cause more chaos than we can potentially deal with.
I'm not saying I buy everything, but I do have one security question for everyone here. How much are we sure that the Kelvins are not in this room at the moment, or have a spy here?
The bald woman sitting next to Riker, Commodore Zarina, turns and gives Jita a smile, and she says, "We have ways of figuring that out, but the more important question, I feel, is why did we have spies from the infamous power, like yourself, and we never discovered that, and we never did anything about it? And here you are, still, as an ambassador for the infamous power, and we are still listening to you. Don't you think that if we thought that you or any Kelvin spy would be a threat to us, that we would deal with that threat? Because even though Kelvins can turn into humans and humanoids, they do not," she kind of thinks of the right word, "let's just say we've encountered them before in that guise, and they did not do very well. So unless they have figured out another disguise to take, for example, Romulan or Bolian or Andorian, then that may do better than human, then there is no threat here."
Okay. If you feel that that is as secure as anything, I suppose the main thing I have to do, and it is for one of the orders I'll be given. I'll tell you this now, I am going to take some latitude with the requests of my people. There are other things I was asked to look into, and I read the room relatively well, I think. What
Well,
I asked at the start is something we demand. Can that be met? That you will no longer annex our territories and leave them into chaos.
Admiral Riker looks across to Lieutenant Salak, and then Commander Tennyson, and Captain Bratham, Commander Trask, and he looks back to Jita, and he says, "They're already, as you say, quote unquote, liberated from the infamous power. There's no need to return them to their state of slavery. Yes, we could leave. We could remove our forces from those planets, but then the infamous power would just come and conquer them again."
I don't think it's conquering if they invite us back.
Would you wait
But
to see if they invite you back, or would you just show up at their doorstep?
I don't think conquering is something that we will be necessarily in a position to do. But the main thing we wish you to do is withdraw your liberating forces and stop liberating anywhere else. It is a form of annexation, and we expect to see how they survive without your caressing palms all over them, telling them what to think. Can you at least do that?
Or better yet, we could just offer him a place into the Enduring Alliance.
I thought this was a negotiation not a hostile standing. It's your choice.
See, if we can offer, if they have a choice between going back to use or coming over to us, at
We
least they
didn't
can.
say they would come back to us by certainty, that we would necessarily force it. That is your reading of the situation. We asked you to leave.
I'm just saying, I'm not being hostile to you. That given the option, we will. I assume that we'll withdraw from all the territories, giving them the option to choose who they prefer. Then let them decide, not decide for them.
That is
perhaps
more reasonable as a phrasing.
Perhaps they can make another suggestion. If the idea that the Infamous wish to come back and reclaim worlds, if we just could have a neutral party to hear both sides before they turn over power, a neutral party who's not vested in either way, and they can hear both sides and make sure that the agreement's amicable
Admiral Singh.
if the event occurs.
Admiral Singh looks over to you, to Captain Bratham, and says, "But who in the damn galaxy is neutral? I mean, the Infamous Power owned the Borg. Like, there is no other species in this galaxy or in this quadrant that could negotiate, because they're either part of the Enduring Alliance or they're part of the Infamous Power. Who do you suggest that negotiate for them? Because and you, by the way, you would know that Admiral Singh is the head of Starfleet Intelligence. So what she's saying carries a little bit of weight, as far as, there's always somebody, there's always every culture almost has their, the Infamous has their paws in almost every culture in the galaxy. Now there are a few, but they're far between. But also they're the ones that most people don't mess with, like the Vasarians, the Metrons, stuff like that. The more higher powered, entities. However, the Organians and things, they have been known to broker treaties, so that could potentially work. But after she kind of interrupts you, she kind of the entire room starts to break out into kind of like a fervor of, like, people whispering kind of angrily to each other, and people kind of shouting, and others like slamming their fists, like trying to make a point. It becomes almost a chaotic scene, and then Admiral Singh. Give me 1 second, and you can. Admiral Singh will turn to Captain Bratham and say, Admiral Stone wanted me to remind you of your negotiating stance. And then she'll turn back and pretend to be arguing with the Klingon next to her. So sorry, Mac, what were you going to say?
Admiral Singh, why don't we get somebody from outside the galaxy that isn't neutral to both parties, and actually, like, that's already in this galaxy, that isn't neutral to any of the parties here.
Who outside of the galaxy? Who are you referring to?
I don't know, somebody who isn't a neutral party.
Someone who isn't a neutral party, but we want someone to be neutral.
Somebody is a neutral party, but isn't for the Federation or for the Infamous Power.
And do you know somebody like that?
No, I thought you guys would know.
From outside the galaxy? The only ones we know from outside the galaxy are trying to kill us. And again, the fervor of chaos begins to rise as people start yelling at each other.
I believe what my Romulan friend here is trying to get at is that the Q would make a suitable third party.
The Klingon general laughs when you say that. He just laughs raucously. But he doesn't say anything. He just laughs.
someone who has the ability to enforce their mandates. But the bigger question, Vice President Sisko, is that what are we willing to sacrifice of the Federation in order to receive the help of the infamous power? Are we willing to sacrifice what the Federation stands for? Are we willing to sacrifice our principles in order for survival?
I got a couple questions as a GM. Is this is Salak talking?
Yes.
Okay, and so Cisco's stance at the moment, or at least before he came into the conference, is that the Enduring Alliance does not need the infamous power, and so he's not really arguing for the infamous power. So you're gonna have to roll a presence command to even get him slightly to think about what you're saying, which is a lot. It's a lot to ask the vice president. What they need to kind of compromise on. So presence command. I'll say it's a contested roll. I'm actually gonna roll for him. Yes, I made a character sheet for the Vice President Cisco.
I'm surprised I got a success. Jesus Christ, because my present sucks.
Oh man, so
well, he's only a lieutenant, so I mean, but
I gotta find.
But so far, he's the chief diplomat here. Signed more treaties than almost anybody sitting at the table.
Yeah, that is true. Let's see here. Oh my god, so many character sheets. All right. And how many you get? 2, 1.
One.
Okay. Yeah, you need to get that presence up, man.
Well, he's only a lieutenant. I mean, and he started off as a science officer lieutenant. True. So I mean,
he started off as a cadet, I think, or an ensign. An ensign.
Yeah, he was an ensign.
All right. So Cisco, his presence, I'm gonna say it's not that much. It's a 9 because he's Jake. And then command. Well, he is the vice president, so I'll say it's 5. All right. So he is gonna roll. Oh yeah, he just waves his hand in front of him dismissively, like sacrifice, compromise. That's not what the Federation is about. My father did not raise me to sacrifice the Federation. We didn't sacrifice the Federation for the Dominion, and we're definitely not going to do it for the infamous power or the Kelvins. We're just not.
Then why have we been discussing the removal of forces from liberated places? We liberated those places in furtherance of the Starfleet ideals and protocols that we have always.
Don't you also have a thing called the Prime Directive? Surely you've liberated them. Hey! Woohoo! They're free. Let them choose. The suggestion of maybe a queue to Arbiter? I can potentially accept that. Independence from all of us and see what would be the best thing. That seems fair. Seems more interesting. Why would you be frightened? If you claim the Federation to be so good, so fantastic, why would you be worried about letting them make those choices?
Oh, do not mistake the fact that that I show no emotion on this matter. It is not the fear of them making a choice. It is us stopping your further aggression towards the rest of this galaxy.
Jida is going to smile and go, okay, so when it comes to aggression, there is a personal thing on me. You refer to non-interference a lot, and that's why I mentioned it. Yet you poke, you prod, you bomb my family. You kill civilians under the orders of the presidency of the Federation itself. Now, if you wish to claim that you are truly living by the principles you claim, I thought we were negotiating. Surely an independent arbiter would be better than what your own presidential elite present.
Admiral Riker sighs. He says, "It's no secret that the Infamous used to work with the Q, so I don't know if the Q are actually going to be, bipartisan in
Yeah,
this."
good. They aren't a good idea for this because they used to work with the Infamous and they aren't a neutral party on this. So it has to be somebody else.
Admiral Riker says, "The Organians, the Metrons, even the Prophets, they have the power, and they've been more neutral than the Q or any of these other entities. The problem is they're very reluctant to indulge themselves in mortal affairs, so to speak. Even if we could get them on board, but he raises a hand, kind of not dismissively, but like." To just cause everyone to pause. He says, "However, as much as I hate to admit it, I think we may have actually made a little bit of progress here. Let us retire for recess and then come back in an hour after we've eaten and digested what we've discussed here, and then we can continue. If everyone is in agreement, say aye, or nay if you're not."
Nay.
Aye.
If we're actually looking at the profits, I think there is somebody who is in communication. Lieutenant Commander Lasgo Zed. Yeah, I just thought to mention it.
Admiral Riker says, "We'll look into that. However, that isn't going to help us here and now. We need something today. We can't go off looking for somebody and hoping that they're going to help, even if they're just down the road, down the corridor. We need something today. And in the middle of our recess, we could potentially petition Mr. Lasco Zed to speak with whoever this is that you're talking about. But as far as going off and finding an Organian or a Q or a Prophet, that's got to be off the table."
He's actually going to be the new XO for Captain Picardo, if I recall. That's why I was mentioning him.
Yes, I know. I put him there, but like I said, we can discuss that. And he looks over to Salak. You said you did not want to recess.
No, that wasn't Salak. That was Commander Trask.
Okay. He looks over to Commander Trask and says, "I assume your intelligence operations and reports give you a lot of information and knowledge about this situation with the Infamous Power. Please go ahead. You have the floor, Commander."
Thank you. Our distinguished delegate from the Infamous Power has asked what other things we have considered in inducements in order to bring them to our side. And I have a unique proposal that should not only help alleviate the tensions of this, but also help us in our continuing with the infamous power. And that is, I propose that we do a prisoner exchange from the liberation of Orion, Nausicaa, and other former territories of the infamous power, and that the infamous power exchange its
When you say this, Admiral Singh kind of looks to Captain.
prisoners that it may have from its various occupations.
When you say this, Admiral Singh kind of turns to Captain Bratham, looking a little bit shocked, and then looks back to Commander Trask, and she says, "Well, I, for one, think that's a great idea." She looks over to Jita and says, "We, being who we are, when we quote-unquote liberate a planet, we don't take prisoners, so that should be relatively easy. The only prisoners we would take would be people that actively fight us, like physically attack us. So that would be relatively easy to do. I think you guys would have way more prisoners than us. So that sounds like a good plan to me." And she looks to Bratham for hopefully an ally in this.
No, absolutely. I believe we should set up a prisoner exchange. There should be no reason for prisoners to be held if we're coming to an agreement or alliance here.
And Admiral Riker turns to... Sorry, go ahead.
Who was it that? What was the name of the person that you just had talking to Jida?
Admiral Singh, the intelligence chief right here, sitting next to the blue guy.
Right. Okay.
And
yeah.
Commander Trask was the one that proposed it.
Yeah. Jida, see, anyone paying attention to Jida will notice that Jida was probably fine with the proposal. However, what has just been said has definitely struck a nerve within her that is making her angry. And going, no, you don't take many prisoners when you bomb civilians, do you?
Admiral Singh says, "Look, that's the past. I agree that we have."
Yes. All of this is in the past. All of this. So, I suppose the question therefore is, do you think that everything we have discussed around this table should be treated the same if it is in the past? If so, fantastic. You'll probably agree to our request. Or is it not quite like that?
Vice President Sisko says, "Representative Jita, we never intended for Orion and Nausicaa and Suliban and the other planets to become the ruins that they had become. To be honest, the Romulans led that military tactical situation. We allowed them."
Oh, so when your allies decide that it is okay to kill civilians, that is a time where you go, well, that's why our principles don't matter. Interesting. Maybe we should definitely all become allies so you can turn a blind eye to anything your allies do. I'm not quite sure what your meaning is. I mean, the thing that I find interesting is that a proposal was made that was interesting, and then the more senior people in this room seem to fail to uphold the very principles they claim to espouse and run. That is interesting. That is very interesting. And very repetitive of what I have come to expect from the Federation and their alliances.
Admiral Riker says, "Very well. If you wish for this exchange, we can take a vote and see if it will go through. Otherwise, there is not much to discuss on the subject."
She pauses and considers. Exchange-wise, that I am interested in, and I will ignore the last few minutes of error, and she sort of stares pointedly at Cisco and I've forgotten her name now.
Admiral Singh.
Admiral Singh. I will ignore their errors.
And actually, you know
If
what?
we can.
Sorry. While you can continue with what you're saying, but whenever you get a chance, make an insight, command, or security roll. Difficulty 2. But yeah, continue with what you're saying. Sorry, it's got to do with Admiral Singh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've just done that roll.
So you're recalling her name and her face, and as you're speaking, Jita realizes that she was a colleague of sorts of the ruling class of Orion. So several years ago, she led a small team of spies, basically, to Orion, and the matriarch of Orion was actually the consort of a Dren clone, and the three of them, I wouldn't say they became friends, but they definitely worked together, and so and they worked together to basically. I don't think Jita would know what they specifically did, but you would know that her speaking the way she does about Orion is potentially because she feels entitled to because of who she knows.
Right. Okay. So yeah, Jita continues. If you wish to have a form of prisoner exchange, what would be a timetable you could offer? Again, and she smiles at Cisco. You are correct. This is something that needs to be done expediently, turning back to Riker.
The Secretary of State, the Rigelian Vulcan Chuzov, or whatever his name is, says, "I don't believe we need to enact any kind of itinerary immediately. There is plenty of time. I assume that from that our side, having whatever prisoners we may have of yours, are being treated within a certain amount of fairness, and I would hope that your side would do the same for ours. So I see no reason to settle on a date or time that is immediate. I feel like we should discuss more important.
I apologize. I was unclear. It was not set a time, but what would your ability for turnaround be? It was more of a practicality than anything else. Nothing set in stone. There's a lot of things moving at the moment, but would you be able to honour this, even if just with a few people, expediently, and maybe we do it gradually? Would that be a possibility?
Cisco and the Secretary of State begin leaning in and talking. Admiral Sulu, who's in charge of Starfleet security, leans in and begins whispering as well. But Admiral Singh turns to Captain Bratham and she says, "Look, your friend needs to be safely removed from their custody today. If Cisco and his elite, as she calls them, get their way, that's not going to happen. If I suggest that you make some sort of plea to either side, honestly, to have it done today. And I will assist. That's a way of the GM saying, make a roll.
Okay, I got you. No, I'm sorry. I was going to, but I was hoping the meetings would go better.
Not when you're dealing with the infamous. And a bunch of admirals and politicians. I imagine this is what Congress sounds like. And spies, yeah.
Okay, then while they're making their decision, then Captain Bratham would suggest, while they haven't responded yet, he'd kind of cut them off, maybe overstep his bounds. But he would say, as a show of good faith, perhaps we could arrange to release any 5 or 10 prisoners we have, and we could provide a list of people we would expect you to return to us as a show of good faith to continue forward. And then we can move forward as an immediate release, and then we can move forward for timetable with the others if needed.
The Admiral Singh nods and says, I think that is a good idea. A show of good faith, with hopefully your forgiveness on my part for my previous words, and maybe a half a dozen from both sides. I'm sure we can manage to scrounge up a half a dozen prisoners of war. But I think if we do that today, then that would go a long way into us being able to trust each other on both sides.
It would. It definitely would. Thank you for your apology as well. And she smiles at her. Okay. That is...
And as for the minutiae... Oh, forgive me, sorry. I didn't mean to talk you.
It's okay.
I was just going to say...
and then as for...
whenever you're done, don't forget to roll. Presence command.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Oh, well, let's do that first then. Sorry, I just got into the discussion. Sorry.
And I'm gonna say that I'll let Neil decide how it affects Jita, but if we get a good enough roll, then I'll basically say that the Vice President and the Secretary of State are on board too.
Do we have any momentum? Because I know how I roll.
I think you have 3 left. Yeah, I know you roll 4 dice and get 4 complications somehow.
I went to buy a dice then, and I'm going to use the persuasion as my focus.
Okay. Yeah.
It was just one day.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh nice.
Oh man, I can't believe that. How did this happen?
Yeah. I'll give you one. Well, actually, let's see. You bought 1. Yeah. So you're back up to 3, and I'll say with that 5. That all NPCs are completely on board. In fact, the Klingons are like, yeah, we'll give up some prisoners of war too, and the Dominion's like, yeah, we got some people from the Dominion War that we'll just hand them over too. Like everybody's, and again, I'll let Neil decide how he wants to play Jita, but like everybody's like pitching in. And I got Cardassians are like, I got like 17 Bajoran slaves I can give you.
Actually, yeah, Jita's going to look over at the Vorta and say, in fact, yes, if the Dominion can return some people in immediacy, which I would assume would be possible, if that would be acceptable as our representation of immediacy before I can clear some other things, that would be, I would hope, a way of showing our faith. I understand the Dominion are wishing to join the Enduring Alliance in this situation immediately, but they are still part of the infamous power. Would that be reasonable?
Luzas, the Vorta, nods to Jita, and then looks to the others. Singh turns to Bratham and says, there's no evidence that the Dominion has her. We need to push this.
Yeah. Perhaps we can come up with a list of names that we top priority prisoners we need first.
Yes, I'm happy for top priority prisoners, but I want to confirm, as an immediacy for today, would at least the ability for Dominion, to whom would be able to present pro representatives a bit closer, depend on who you're asking for, they could be well into infamous power territory. To return them may not be quick. And that is a practicality. I am more pointing out. This is not politics.
I'm gonna roll
We-
something real quick. Sorry. You can
While we
continue.
while we understand that it's practicality purposes, I'm sure that an honorable member of the infamous power would never. So your word that we would get a specific prisoner today would, I'm sure, guarantee his safety within the infamous domain and would get him transferred here expeditiously if need be. Am I correct?
It's at this point Gita's going to sort of start looking around going, okay, I am going to be direct here, and I think that we may be treading around things. Is there someone specifically you wish released? There's no point in cloaking this. If there's someone you wish released, let me know. We can't advance if you're going to pretend that anything else is not clear.
Is there anyone specific, Captain Bratton?
Yes, I have somebody specific. Forgive me, I gotta pull my note back up. Sorry. I know that's not exactly that.
Do you just need the name?
Yeah. I was writing other notes down.
It's Thelev. I'll type it so that it's easy to.
Yeah, Thelev. Yeah.
And yeah, you can describe her if you want, so they know exactly. Because I'm sure there's a lot of Thelevs.
Yeah. He says, is someone I personally know that has been captured prisoner. I would like to have them exchange. Thelev, she was a friend of mine. I can give you her last known position and place. We can discuss that here briefly. I won't have her name put on the board as a priority release.
Okay. If you can let me know the name, just in case I might potentially be privy to anything, I might be able to help.
Well, I will. He'll write it out on a. I don't know if we exchanged over a data pad or something. I'll exchange
Bluetooth.
all
We'll all have Bluetooth in the future. It should be fine.
Okay. Yeah. I'll exchange her last known place, last known what she looks like. I'll get a picture of her, wrap it all up, and send it to her there, right in the middle of the meeting.
Yeah, but the reason I was asking that, GM, was largely because I want to have a look at it and see if Jida actually recognises it for anything. May not mean anything, I totally understand, but...
Yeah, I'll have to try to remember, because I don't... let's see... Oh, yeah, I think it was... the thing that I forgot to tell you. So, yeah, you would know that... you would know, you wouldn't necessarily know like her name or anything, but you would know that a certain captain was messing about with some stuff that he shouldn't be in, and then somebody he knew was captured and kidnapped and hurt, and that one of his officers is a spy. Like you would know the basics. You might not know like exactly who he's talking about, but you would know when he mentions this.
I'm able to infer what incident it might be. Yeah. In relation to that, what would probably the infamous's power attitude of that be, and such?
You're their representative, so whatever you decide, they're good with.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, more along the lines of, do they think that it was a majorly serious thing, or what do they...
Not really. basically it was just like a typical like mob thing where it's like, oh, you mess with us, now we're
Oh,
gonna
okay.
mess with you. Like there was no
Yeah, yeah.
there was no protocol or law or rules to it. It was just a I'm pissed
More
that you
tit for
look.
tat
Yeah,
type thing.
exactly. Yeah. So as long as you put something down in writing, they have to follow it basically.
Yeah, that's cool. So Jida looks at it and goes, I think this will probably be fine. There's nothing. I don't know anything specific about it, I'm afraid, but I should be able to do something about this if that's really the case. Is there anything else that, if we're going to be blunt and ask about, is there anything else that you would be interested in? She just looks around the table, seeing if anyone wants to offer any suggestions of prisoner releases specifically.
I don't think anyone has anything else, but yeah, no, I think everyone's good. I mean, I certainly can't think of one as a GM. Then again, I have to think of like 1,000 NPCs, so one might have slipped through a crack. But yeah.
Ratham would just say, thank you for your attention in this matter. It's greatly appreciated.
Admiral Riker says, well, I'm glad we are finally making some progress. We definitely need a recess at this point, and that's me as a GM saying that I need to recess. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to, in game, there'll be a recess of about an hour or two, and then everyone will come back to the table and continue trying to build this treaty that everyone's so keen on building. And since this is kind of like a part one, we won't do reputation or milestones this episode. We'll do that after the next episode, or the one after that, depending on how long it takes. But yeah, progress. It's awesome, and Salaka is gonna probably be. This will be his 4th treaty if he signs, so that'll be interesting. All right. Is everyone good? Does anyone have any questions or anything that they want to do or role play before we end? Sorry, Z, that the last half of it we didn't get to you, but yeah, it was kind of.
Oh no, it was interesting.
Yeah, good. I was hoping you were entertained because we were on a roll and
Yep.
yeah. So cool. More than likely, when they come back from recess, just to simplify it, I am going to remove like half the NPCs so that I don't have to roleplay as all of them. But otherwise, all of the player characters, you guys should be able to all be here. If there's anyone like Neil or anybody that you don't think you're going to make it, or if you think you're going to be late, just let me know so that I can prepare for that. But otherwise, yeah, I think we're good. I think we're done for the day. Like I said, does anyone have any questions?
I have an apology. Sorry I arrived late. I
You're
literally was basically just editing video stuff for the job,
good. And you forgot.
and then my phone. Oh no! My phone went on to. Well, I forgot, but also I wasn't paying attention to time, and my phone went into the do not disturb period.
Ooh.
So when Mac messaged me, I got no notification, and then I just sort of looked at my phone and went, "Oh, this. Oh shit! I forgot."
Hey, it happens.
Yeah.
If it happens like every day, then I get worried. But it happens once in a while. It's fine. But yeah, that was so. Who figured out long before today that Jita was with the infamous power? Because I'm pretty sure half of you did.
I was guessing, sir.
Yeah. I know why Mac guessed because of the whole thing that happened the last few episodes, but we tried to keep it under wraps as much as possible, but it got really difficult, especially the last few episodes. Well, it became difficult for me.